Mean, the average mode, most often range. Subtract the smallest from the largest. Median, the middle number when you line them from the greatest to the least. Mean, the average mode, most often range. Subtract the smallest from the largest. Median, the middle number when.
This is the review for our test on statistics and algebraic reasoning. This test is occurring after the winter breaks, or the recent holiday break. So you've got these are all things we did before the break, and we just had about 2.5 weeks off. So we need to revisit some of these ideas to prepare for this test, which will begin on Friday. This first idea is substituting integer values for these variables and then performing the correct integer operations to simplify these expressions by solving them. 5c plus 2a, I'm just going to rewrite that. Whenever we see a number adjacent to a variable, that's called a coefficient, and that means we're multiplying. So 5c means 5 multiplied by c. So it's 5 multiplied by c is -4. Plus 2 multiplied by the value of a is -9. I indicated multiplication with the parentheses, and I haven't done anything on this line other than substitute the variable values. That's the best way to do this. You should keep all of this vertical space free for simplifying your expression, and any computation you need to do can be done on the side. But we can do this mentally, use mental math here. 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. And a positive multiplied by a negative is a negative, so I have -20 as the product here, plus 2 multiplied by -9 would be -18, because again a positive multiplied by a negative is negative. If I'm adding two negatives, I just get I just combine them, because this is like, if you think of it as owing money, if I owe someone $20 and I owe someone else $18, altogether I owe $38. If you think of it as a number line model, if you start at -20 and you add -18, you're going to be going further to the left. This next expression, 3a minus 5b, I'll rewrite it first. That will be 3 multiplied by -9, because a is -9, minus 5 multiplied by +12. 3 multiplied by -9 is -27, minus 5 multiplied by 12 is 60. Now there's a couple ways to deal with this. If you can just visualize this, if you're at -27 on a number line and you subtract 60, which direction are you going? You're going further to the left. And so you could realize that you would just combine these numbers and you'd have a -87. But sometimes that's not easy to see, so you can use the definition of subtraction. Subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. So -27 minus 60 is the same as -27 plus the opposite of 60, which is -60. And then we have a situation like we had here where we're adding two negatives, we just combine them for -87. This last expression, b divided by c, that fraction bar indicates division, the vinculum. So b divided by c, b is 12 and c is -4. So it's 12 divided by -4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. There are 3 4s in 12. And then a positive divided by a negative gives you a negative quotient, so -3. Problem number 2 on page 1. Given that the mean of three integers, a, b, and c is 40, we're going to compare these two. Box B is just the number 40, and box A is the mean of a, b, c, and 39. So this is a pretty easy problem. The hard part about this problem is just understanding what it's saying and what you're comparing. So here's what we've been given. The mean of three integers, a, b, and c is 40. So a plus b plus c divided by 3, because there's three numbers, equals 40. Then in box A, the quantity would be the mean of A, B, C, and 39. So if I add another number and it's 39, what does that do to the mean? If the mean of these three numbers, A, B, and C, is 40, by adding a number that's less than 40, it will bring the mean down a little bit. Remember we talked about the mean is you're leveling all the numbers. So if I have a mean of 40 and then I add another number that's less than 40, it will bring the mean down, it will bring the average down. So you don't know what this mean will be, but you know that it's less than 40. And since you're comparing it to 40, you know that A is less than B, or another way of saying that is B is greater than A. So the answer choice B would be correct here. Problem 3. 10 friends have an average of 3 yo-yos each. Gabe joins them, and now the average is 4 yo-yos each. How many yo-yos does Gabe have? If 10 friends have an average of 3 yo-yos each, how many yo-yos do they have? They have some total number of yo-yos divided by 10 equals the average, or the mean, which is 3. But if you know that the total divided by 10 is 3, then you know that the total is equal to 3 multiplied by 10. In other words, what number would you divide by 10 that would give you a mean or an average of 3? It would have to be 30. 30 divided by 10 is 3. If you can just see this inverse relationship between dividing and multiplying, you can use this information to find the total. Then the 10 friends must have a total of 30 yo-yos. Then when Gabe joins them, the average is now 4 yo-yos each. So get a different color. The new total with Gabe's yo-yos divided by how many friends now? There were 10 friends, and then Gabe joined the group, so the new total divided by 11 is 4. So the new total must be equal to 4 multiplied by 11, or 44. In order for the average to be 4, we would need to divide 44 by 11. 44 divided by 11 is 4. And so how many yo-yos does Gabe have? It would be the difference between the new total and the old total. So 44 minus 30 is 14 yo-yos. Another way to think of that would be to use the model we learned where we're comparing. Try to do that better. If you think back to when we first learned mean, and we compared the columns of blocks. So if you think of the number of yo-yos visually like this, there are 10 friends. Okay, that was a lot to show this little thing, but what I'm trying to say is if they each have 3 yo-yos, they don't each have 3 yo-yos actually, but they have different numbers of yo-yos, but the 10 friends, when you average them out, they all average out to 3. So we could imagine they each have 3. And then Gabe joins the group, and all of a sudden the average changes to 4. So he's bringing a lot of yo-yos to this group of people because the average changes so much. So you think about determine to get this. Think about it this way. For the average to change to 4, he needs to give 1 to each of these 10 people. And then he still has to have enough himself to still have 4. So he has to have 4 for himself plus enough to give each of the other 10 members 1 so that they'll all level up to 4. So that means he has to have 10, 1 for each of the other members of the group, and then 4 for himself. So 10 and 4 is another way to find that 14. Okay, problem number 4 on the first page. Create a data set with 2 modes and a median that is not equal to any of the numbers in the data set. It's easiest to start with this last clue. If you just start to try to understand what that means. A median that is not equal to any of the numbers in the data set. The only way you have a median that's not equal to any of the numbers in the data set is if you have an even number of data points. Like, I could make it real easy and just 1 and 2. There's my data set. Just 2 numbers, 1 and 2. What's the median? Well, it's halfway between 1 and 2. It's the mean of those 2 numbers. It's 1.5. So in this case, the median equals 1 1/2, which is not equal to either of these numbers in the data set. So this last clue is just telling you that you have an even number of numbers in the data set, and whatever that middle number is, and I guess it also means these can't be the same number, because then the median won't equal one of these numbers. So as long as that's the case, then you've satisfied the second clue. The first clue says you need to have 2 modes. And so if instead of having just a single 1 and a single 2, if I had 2 1s and 2 2s, right now I still have no mode because the 1s and the 2s occur the same amount. They each occur twice. But if I put some smaller number here, like 0, and some larger number here, 3, so I still have an even number of data points. 1 and 2 are still in the middle, so my median is still 1.5. But now I have 2 modes. The modes are 1 and 2 in this case, because the 1 and the 2 occur twice, and the 0 and the 3 only occur once. So there's an infinite number of correct answers to this problem, but that's how I would construct a solution. You may have a more efficient way. I'll be curious to see what you've done on this. And that completes page 1. We'll pick up the review with page 2 on the next video.
The largest median, the middle number when you line them from the greatest to the least. Mean, the average mode, most often range, subtract the smallest from the largest. Median, the middle number when you line them from the greatest to the least.